to talk to you about brain health. And so let's look at what the objectives are. And the objective is first to define what brain health is and explore some of the myths of brain health, discuss the impact of brain health, and identify the 6 pillars of brain health. We'll discuss creating action plans towards self-care and promoting brain health. So before we go into any further, just look at what the Bible has to say about health. It says, I wish above all things, and that's 3 John 2, that we know it's beloved, I wish above all things that you may prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospers. So let's just let's define what brain health is. When your brain is healthy, it has the blood flow required for peak optimum performance. A healthy brain is essential for living a long and full life, or a long, fruitful life. When your brain is healthy, you're better able to meet the demands cognitively, physically, and psychologically, and engage in social tasks. So here are some myths about brain health. And I know we've all heard this. We only use about 10% of our brain. And that's a myth. Um, that originated in the early 60s, but it is actually believed that we use about 65%. And it's said at any given time we are using our brain. It's not that we just use it when we are awake, but at any given time, and it depends on activities we are engaging that requires the percentage of our brain power. The size of our brain, another myth is the size of our brain dictates how smart we are. That's not necessary, that's not true, okay? Our intelligence has nothing to do with the size of our brain. And we've heard this, we're either left-brained or right-brained. And we talk about persons who are creative being left-brained and persons who are analytical being another. And so this is not necessarily true, because that does not determine, while the brain is divided into right and left hemisphere, there is no such thing as our personality being left brain only or right brain only. Brain damage is always permanent, and we know that when you think of brain damage, we think of people in vegetative state. But we know that brain damage can occur, like with COVID. I came in and gentleman was talking about how, unpreparedness, and the fact that we are just learning so much about it. And one of the things over the last several weeks we've learned is some of the residual effect from COVID could be cognitive as well as physical. This gentleman who was a CNN business analyst talks about being clumsy and knocking things over. So we know that the damage in brain is not permanent. It depends on what it is. You could be in a motor vehicle accident or some other kind of traumatic event, or you can have an infection and you recover. So memory works much like a copying machine, and we know that that's not necessary. That's not true. Memory does not work like a copier. And then there are 5 senses, and I know we all learned that. Now, while scientists have not agreed on the direct amount of senses there are, they say it's between 14 and maybe 20. We know that it's more than 5 senses. And your brain dictates your skills. Again, that's not true, because we know that people learn different skills. Like I could be where we are now as adults, and we can decide that we want to learn a language or a different language, or we want to learn a musical instrument, to play a musical instrument. And your brain size stays the same until you die, and that's not true. Again, it's a myth. And being in a coma is being like asleep, it's like being asleep, and that's not true. You have dreams when you sleep, and most persons would tell you they were just there. They have no recollection. Memory automatically decline with age, and again, that's a myth. So that says that there are some things that we can do. And I believe I'm talking to the right um, bunch of people. Brain or mental agility starts to fade at midlife. Again, those are all myths. Okay, so let's understanding the impact of poor brain health. So failing brain health is a public health epidemic. And I think I heard Nathlin talking about what the weeks to wellness entails. And so we know that if we engage in certain sugary drinks and all of those stuff, they could lead our failing brain. So statistics say 3 out of 5 Americans will develop a brain disease in their lifetime. And by 2020, the total number of cause of Alzheimer's, dementia, and stroke is expected to be extremely high. So what do you think this picture looks like for the Bahamas? As we hear that, what do you think it looks like for us? Do you think it's similar or do you think it's less? Maybe not in the trillions of dollars because of the population, but I'm sure that we perhaps have the same grim prediction. So let's look at the brain health, the 6 pillars of brain health. What is the 6 pillars? Again, I say this is the right group of persons because you have your wellness. And so I know that these are some of the things you've talked about. So we know that physical exercise can improve your quality of life. It increases the blood flow, help you to not just lose weight, but it elevates your mood, improve your sleep, lower your risk of disease, and strengthen your bones. So we see that exercise, physical exercise, has a multiplicity of benefits. So research has shown that aerobics exercise help with new brain cell growth and the preservation of existing brain cells. So strength training, which I don't like, and flexibility exercises and balance work can all help protect and enhance brain function. Exercise aids the release of hormones, which provide an excellent environment for the growth of brain cells. So we see that the growth, the hormone that release the hormone, and this is what helps brain cells to grow. So exercise also promote the brain plasticity by stimulating growth of new connection between cells and many important cortical area of the brain. So the flexibility of the brain, the ability of the brain to be able to move between tasks and to be able to process information. So another pillar of brain health is medical health. So we know that medical conditions can put your brain health at risk. So some of those, to those, keeping medical conditions medical under control is a good overall brain health strategy. A study on vascular health and brain function found that poor vascular health has been found in patients with stroke, high blood pressure, high pulse pressure, diabetes, and obesity. So individuals with vascular risk had 1.5 times the damage to their white matter compared to people without the risk. So if your blood pressure is high, or your blood sugar is high, or you're obese, those can lead to damage to your white matter. and that's in the brain. So white matter is deeper in the brain than in the gray matter. So the gray matter tends to be more to the surface. It naturally declines with age. Research have shown that white matter loss is linked to slower thought processing and reduced executive functioning. So that means we're less able to make decisions on spontaneous basis, and less able to move between tasks. Um, so vascular risk factor may speed up loss, may speed up brain cell loss. But we know nutrition also plays a part. So research shows that if we eat green leafy vegetables, such as kale, spinach, collard greens, and broccoli, that these food may help slow cognitive decline. And of course, fatty fish, such as with those that include have omega-3 fatty acid, may actually help with decline or staying of the Alzheimer's disease and dementia. Berries, which have flavonoid, is a natural plant pigment that grows, that gives berries the brilliant hue. And we know that berries really are very good as well. And so it's recommended that we eat berries week, and because it delays the memory decline by up to 2.5 years. So if we eat lots of strawberries and blueberries, you know, it's tend to help us with decline in our memories. Then tea and coffee. And I know that the study, you know, there's a vacillation. Sometimes it's like, okay, it's good, then sometimes it's not so good. But usually most of the study says just not to drink too much. So caffeine in your morning cup of coffee or tea might offer more than just a short-term concentration boost. In a 2014 study published in the Journal of Nutrition, participants with higher caffeine consumption scored better on tests of mental function. Caffeine might also help solidify new memories, according to other research. So yeah, that's where we are with that. And so most are talking about caffeine, tea, and green tea. So nuts are excellent source. We know that, usually walnuts. So those are some of the nutritional stuff that helps us with memory, our brain health. Another one is, another pillar is mental health. Research advanced in the mind and body connection over the past 3 decades have begun to look more at the role of brain health to mental stability and well-being. And usually when we talk about mental health, people, I think there is this, we see it as synonymous with brain health. So one of the science more interesting finding of the past few decades has to do with a brain protein called brain derived neurotrophic factor. That's the BDNF. And this seemed to be very active in the brain hippocampus region that is responsible for memory formation and oscillation of excitatory and inhibitory brainwave activity. This has significant implication for the disorders of movement. So you may find people like Parkinson's disease and inhibition. So people may not, they tend to just fly off the handle readily if this is not, if this is lacking, and memory disturbance like an epilepsy and schizophrenia, okay? Also disorders of the mood and attention and learning. There's also a higher level of BDNF activity in the brain's frontal lobe region that is responsible for higher order thinking processes that include reasoning, goal orientation or being goal oriented, problem solving, anticipation of consequences, that's That's being able to rationalize that if I were to follow through on doing this, then what will happen? Imagination and future planning. Okay, so we know if it's low and in the frontal lobe region, it can result in thinking and learning impairment and in the regulation and in dysregulation of mood, self-control, and ability, and inhibit the ability to learn from one's action. So another brain health is sleep. Sleep is extremely important. This is one of the most important when it comes to brain health. Research found, and this is one of the things that we are often very much lacking. You know, research found that sleep helps restore the brain by flushing out toxins that build up during waking hours. Sleep detoxifies the body, beta amyloid proteins associated with Alzheimer's, so that it helps us. Sleep is important for storing memory, so it helps us with memory as well. So lack of sleep, and you can test it on yourself actually. So lack of sleep impairs your reasoning ability. It appears it impairs your problem solving skills. It impairs your attention to detail, among other things. Our ability to respond quickly. So we know that lack of sleep can be detrimental. It is so important to work on improving the quality of your sleep. We say uh, 6 to 7 hours of sleep. Some people may require, well, they say 7 hours. Some people may require 6 hours, but oftentimes I think scientists tend to think that if we go below that, then we may be in critical zone. One of the biggest factor interfering with sleep is stress. So managing stress is extremely important, and stress reduction technique like meditation are good ways to lower stress level. So we know that um, stress interferes with sleep pattern. So it's important that we learn how to manage stress strategies such as meditation and exercise also helps to manage stress and help us with sleep. So another important pillar in brain health is bonding and social interaction. And I know that throughout this COVID and since the inception, and one of the things that the World Health Organization and the CDC talked about is the importance of bonding and not having relationships, and not being socially isolated. So we see that literature on lifespan and development studies have shown that human beings are by nature hardwired to interact and form social connections with others. So social interaction has a significant impact on brain health and quality of life. And so that's one of the things we talked about. We always say to reach out to those persons. We talked about isolation and quarantine. So reach out to persons who may be at home, connect with them, but it not only benefits them, but it also benefits you as well. The feeling of being needed, appreciated, and wanted can help keep you calm, boost your immunity, improve your heart health, improve your overall sense of well-being. So stay connected with others and get involved in social activities. So it like no man is an island. We need each other, um, because that's how we were created by God, to that we need other people. We need just as we need the Holy Spirit, and we need Him in our lives so that we can make good decisions and live well. We need people as well to connect and share. So, how fit is your brain? Think about that. So, and what actions do you need to take? So, I've given you some of the pillars. So, where do you see yourself? Do you see yourself lacking in sleep? Do you see yourself with your medical condition? exercise, your physical health, which of those? So then take action. Then let's look at self-care. So we know that self-care is extremely important in managing our overall well-being, our overall well-being, and that is inclusive of our brain health. Okay, it's important to remember, like as we need people, sometimes we overextend ourselves. It's important to remember that you cannot pour from an empty cup. So we have to take care of ourselves first. And God would want us to do that, because we can't, like this says, we can't give what we don't have. So balance the imbalance in your life. Out of balance wellness week. This is our out of balance wellness wheel. Is you see wellness, and then there's the fade thing that says that we need to pay attention so that we can be well. So let's look at some of the values, some of the things to help us balance, bring balance to our lives. We have to first value ourselves, have to learn how to say no. I know that that's difficult for a lot of us. And one of the things I say to people is that, no is a sentence, it's a paragraph, it's a full dissertation, it's a novel, it's whatever. No, and you don't need an explanation. But oftentimes we like to say, I cannot, no, because. But when because, then it leaves the door open for people to bargain, to to maybe try to rationalize or convince us. So give to yourself. We give to other people, just give to yourself. So we take, as we value ourselves, we give to ourselves. And what are some of the things that we can give to ourselves? We can take time for ourselves. Take every day, spend a few minutes in meditation and prayer and deep breathing of 5-10 minutes. And once a week, you take the time to just spend some time with your Lord and with you. So find healthy ways to deal with stress. What are some of the ways? We talked about those. And quiet your mind. That's where meditation comes in, deep breathing. Spend some time, and if you're a nature lover, you could go to the sea and listen to the waves, or you can just go bird watching, or I like sunset and sunrise. So those are some of the things that allow me to quiet my mind. And of course, we can't overemphasize eat well. Eating well, very important. And I think we are seeing, even with this COVID pandemic, we're seeing the importance of eating well while it's not in your face as it is, and when in the news media, when they're talking about the statistics, if you read, you see where your body, your health, your overall health, how you took care of yourself, oftentimes seem to determine the outcome if you were um, to contract COVID. So laugh often. That's self-explanatory. Avoid alcohol and other drugs. Take a trip. Well, no trip now. You could take a trip on to Cable Beach or take a trip to the island. I mean, a trip does not necessarily mean if you get on a plane or a boat, you could just drive in your vehicle. Unless, of course, you're going to one of the islands. So buy yourself a gift, and it doesn't have to be anything expensive. It could be simple, inexpensive. Okay, take a vacation. That's the vacation days. So you don't have to leave the island, because you see what our consulate general say. We like South Florida. So you don't have to go to South Florida. You could go to Exuma. Lots of people went to Exuma over the weekend. You could go to Eleuthera. You could go to Andros, any one of the other islands, or you could simply just stay home, spend some time, do all of the above that we talk about. Spend some time with yourself, do some searching, do some journaling, do some meditation, do some prayer, do some reading. Okay? Sleep. Again, go out with family and friends, and then exercise. So self-care is never a selfish act. It is simply good stewardship of the only gift I have, the gift I was put on earth to offer to others. So I think that's important. And I think we need to remember that.